Joyous time zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we're going to be discussing D.R.A.T. D.R.A.T. in Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. All right. I think I'm going to do the grounding ritual just to give people a chance to come in and hang out and enjoy their Sunday morning. So I'd like to start this morning with a grounding ritual to start your day. This starts near your domain, so if you've not created a domain, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, which is linked below. And I need to actually write my newsletter. That would be wise. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Let me tell you, I definitely have some tension from the night. Take another deep breath in. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and spreads down over your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is now a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. You are just outside the door of your domain. The air is crisp and cool. The evergreens sway slightly in the breeze, and the ground has a large patch of moss at your feet. Step barefoot onto the moss. Feel how soft it is. Feel the solid ground underneath. That light coming into your head can now be translated into energy that you can send out your feet. Convert the light into roots and send the roots out the bottoms of your feet and deep into the earth, as deep as you can. The soil is fresh, easy to toil, easy to carve a path down. Feel how anchored you are, how close to the earth. Reach as far down as you can. The earth hugs your roots comfortably, no matter how sharp or curly, no matter how many times they split off. Slowly pull the roots back up the way they came. Your roots slither through the dark, the soil filling in its wake. Pull the roots back into your feet, convert it back to the light, and let the light filter through you and out the top of your head. Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you are just joining us, we just did our morning grounding ritual. I would say you can find more on Patreon, but I'm having trouble logging into Patreon. So until then, you can join me for coffee here in the mornings on YouTube. Hello, Allie. So good to see you this morning. How is everything treating you? I might need to get more coffee during this stream. It's a possibility. Partially alive today. Partly alive today. Hello, Jenny. So good to see you guys. All right. Nice view of my armpit. Hold on. Good morning, Kat. I'm doing quite wonderfully. I woke up earlier than I was expecting to, especially after yesterday. Yesterday, I turned off my alarm, which usually goes off at 8 a.m. And then I blinked and snuggled my cat, and next thing I knew, it was almost 9 o'clock. So, which is when I run Vampire. Only to find out that my internet wasn't working because I didn't pay my bill. Because autopay was undone for some reason. So I'm going to try and see if I can re-sign up for autopay. I think I need more information about the card. Today is going to be a relaxed day in that at noon, we're going to be singing karaoke with BC and Doll Ciceruno, which will be wonderful at noon Eastern. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern, I am going to be partaking in a soul armor charging witchy thing. So the woman who makes my soul armor, which is a piece of jewelry with a charged stone in it. She hosts these like workshops on charging your piece and keeping it like, in top-notch shape, basically. And it's a good chance to like hang out with her and hear what she has to say, because usually she has pretty good shit to say. Good morning, Spence. I'm so glad you could make it. All right, the Hermit. The Hermit. That's hilarious. I guess it is saying that, yes, I should in fact do the things that I intend on doing today. Which is a fat lot of nothing. All right, number 6, 4, 13, 9. One of these days I'll get them memorized. All right. Soul searching is the name of the game, and you've decided to take the time to explore that aspect of yourself. Wide-eyed truth seeker, you implore the deepest depths of your being so that you can know yourself in ways you didn't know before. There was a certain restlessness with how you were living your day-to-day, knowing that there is a deeper meaning to life. Soul searching tends to be a solo journey, so you may be finding yourself withdrawing from social activities and retreating inside yourself. You are seeking your deep inner truth and defining your core values. And if that means a night in with a glass of wine, then so be it. You are seeking alignment with your mind, body, and soul, and you are finding new ways of consciously prioritizing your beliefs into your daily life. Well, I do intend on doing a bunch of meditating today. I've been doing this. I almost slept through. Oh my gosh. Not gonna lie, huh? I don't blame you. It's Sunday morning. I get it. I get it. I'm glad you could make it. All right. Another crack in the wall. Brr. What's going on? What's going on? I want to play with your silk. I have a sheet of silk, a silk veil for belly dancing, that is preventing them from using the divider as a scratching post. I'm soul searching with my eyes closed. Yeah, I get it. It's funny. A key feature of contemporary approaches to magic is the use and exploration of practical techniques, the aim of which is to bring about changes in perception, attitude, and widen our possibilities for action. For some reason, Air Server is like refusing to actually close. I don't know what's up. Good morning, doll. I'm honored that you could join us. I think we'll have a lot to discuss today. Let's see. This requires the development of particular abilities and skills which form the foundations for further work. The old saying, "You cannot run before you can walk," is particularly apt when it comes to magic, where it is necessary to be able to develop particular skills before one can make the most effective use of the techniques which require them. A very basic example of this is just sitting still. If you are unable to sit still and silent, you will not have much success with a magical technique which requires, at the very least, that you sit still. Doll, I am so excited about the sigil work that you've been doing with runes. Like, for real. I am so excited about the wallpaper that you made for your phone. That is like pure life. That is pure win. I am really excited about that. I've always been a proponent of using other alphabets, other languages, other fonts, etc., for coming up with sigils. And sigil work with runes is a very common practice, with mostly Norse origins. I'm just baby crawling over here. So what you're saying about crawling before walking is very relatable. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you're taking the path that you're taking. It's really exciting. All right. Let's see. Many core magical training exercises seem trivial or boring. Most of us would probably prefer to do something stimulating and varied rather than sitting in an awkward posture doing nothing. In a way, part of the rationale for such an exercise is that it is boring or seemingly difficult. Such exercises are a way of testing the limits of your achievable reality. You are challenging your inherent resistance to the possibility of change and widening the cracks in the facade of paramount reality. D.R.A.T. The keys to becoming a magician are relatively simple. So simple, in fact, that people tend to spaz like a cat. So simple, in fact, that people tend to overlook them in search of complex systems of belief and abstraction. An example of such simplicity is the D.R.A.T formula for action: discipline, relaxation, attention, transformation. Making sure that I only have one page. Pick a card, any card. How do you mean pick a card, any card? I have done the Hermit today. That was my card that I picked. Are you pulling tarot cards this morning, darling? Oh, it was a joke. That is a traumatizing sound. Wonder if I should spy on my cats. Hello, Raven. Glad you could make it. We're just getting started. Oh, you said magician. I don't relate pick a card, any card to magicians, but maybe that's just because I've been reading this book. Without discipline, we would not learn. Without discipline, we wouldn't get up out of bed in the morning. We need discipline to conquer our greatest magical adversary, inertia, which tends to appear in the form of little voices which sway our resolve by arguing that what can be done right now can easily be put off tomorrow. I'm just did laundry this morning, and now I am pooped. No worries. Sunday morning, you can just sit back and listen. Yet, while a little discipline helps spurs us onwards, too much discipline can actually lead us back into inertia, particularly if the goals we set for ourselves are unrealistic. So, discipline requires relaxation if it is to be used well. It is possible to be both relaxed and disciplined simultaneously. For discipline to be effective, we have to be relaxed about it and within it. Okay. If we are to be disciplined and relaxed, then we also need to be attentive. Attention is a skill. It is difficult to be attentive to what is happening around us. It is hard to be attentive to our own body sensations, behavioral habits, and attitudes. It is very difficult to be attentive of many things simultaneously. To be attentive requires discipline and relaxation. Transformation is the synthesis and outcome of the three qualities. If we transform ourselves, if we are relaxed, we transform ourselves. And if we are attentive, we transform ourselves. Transformation, of course, requires discipline, relaxation, and attention. I like the way my father put it to me once, that I suspect he regrets now. Why put off until tomorrow what you can get out of doing altogether? He probably regrets that, yes. D.R.A.T can be applied within a wide variety of life situations, but is particularly useful when learning new skills and abilities which require practice and repetition. A good deal of magical training is the learning of new skills and abilities which are applied at first within a ritual space. However, it is a limitation to be competent and confident only within a ritual space. The trick is to be able to apply these skills and techniques into wider and wider areas of one's experience until magic becomes not so much something that you do occasionally, but a set of principles for dealing with the world through which you move. Body-mind training. Relaxation is itself a good starting point for magical training, particularly as to relax, you have to be aware of your body. There is a great tendency to forget the body and live inside one's thoughts to the level where we feel that the body is something which carries our minds around. Western approaches to magic have, over the last few decades, become very cerebral and abstract. Relaxation is a good counter exercise for this. Also, learning the ability to relax can be seen as the beginnings of sorcery, as an act of willing a change in one's reality. Relaxation technique rests on the skill of uniting thought, breath, and action. On a very practical level, it requires that we understand the relationship between thoughts, feelings, and physiological changes in the body. Stop closing word. For real. Yes, living in thoughts. Through the course of each day, we tend to experience stresses of one kind or another. Our responses to stress are very individual. Some people enjoy a level of stress that others would find difficult to cope with. Not feeling called out by that at all. Our ability to cope with stress factors changes according to environmental fluctuations. Stress factors are also cumulative, and the general response to stress overload is to trigger the flight-fight response. The liver releases stored glucose into the blood system. My class ends Wednesday, so I need to finish all my homework. Finish that homework. I'm going to try this again. Stress factors are also cumulative, and the general response to stress overload is to trigger the fight-flight response. The liver releases stored glucose into the bloodstream, the heart pumps faster, muscles prepare for action. That's a typo. And the digestive system shuts down. If the body is geared up for flight or fight, there is no possibility of physical or psychological resolution. Chronic problems can develop. For example, muscle tension can develop into headaches and pains. A further problem is that often we do not modify our expectations about what we can realistically achieve, even when we are no longer operating at peak performance. This is known as performance dissonance. There is a gap between what we think we can do and what can actually be done. The struggle to meet unrealistic expectations reinforces feelings of anxiety and low self-esteem, which of course places more stress on the body-mind. To be able to relax effectively then requires the ability to identify the symptoms of stress. Secondly, you have to examine your habits and attitude and ask yourself, are they likely to reduce stress or increase it? Excuse me. You must be prepared to change factors in your environment, your lifestyle, and your habits. You must also be prepared to accept that some factors will be beyond your control and must be dealt with by other approaches. Anxiety has 3 interrelated components which form an anxiety loop. First, stress factors give rise to physiological arousal. Thought, oh no, I get really upset when this happens. Secondly, the arousal is interpreted as anxiety. The thought is, just as I thought, I'm getting anxious. Thirdly, the identification of the physiological arousal as anxiety triggers negative self-statements. I'm going to be faint, sick, cause a scene, which of course tends to lead to further stress. Ooh, no class tomorrow. No class tomorrow? Bank holiday? What's up? Oh, I'm out of coffee. So how can this anxiety loop be broken? Thirdly, the identification of the physiological arousal is, again, effective. Let me try this again. So how can this anxiety loop be broken? Again, effective relaxation requires 3 components. Firstly, there is the physical. Learn to breathe deeply and easily, applying the simple breathing techniques of basic meditation techniques is excellent, as are patterns of muscle relaxation. Secondly, there is the cognitive element. This relates to thoughts and feelings which arise out of physiological changes. It is necessary to be able to identify these habituated thoughts and change them. Much has been written in the New Age movement about positive thinking and affirmations, and these concepts should not be discounted. It is all too common for us to deliberately invoke anxiety by visualizing a potentially stressful situation and anticipating all the things which could go horribly wrong. And thus prepare for a situation by worrying about it. Self-affirming thoughts reduce stress. Equally, when anticipating a potentially difficult situation, it is more effective to visualize yourself making a realistic assessment of the situation, trying out suitable approaches, and considering possible alternatives. Acting out or rehearsing by visualization tends to make the real thing less awesome. Thirdly, there is behavioral element. The ways in which we respond in stressful situations are often inadequate or inappropriate. Being able to relax means that we use the skill in a wide variety of situations and also evaluate other behaviors and change them. A good example of behavioral modification is to be aware of unnecessary tensions and eliminate them. The steps to relaxation outlined above have much in common with other more magical skills. As a core magical technique, relaxation is very much about bringing about a change in accordance to will, a change in accordance with will. Yet, even such a seemingly basic change can have wider ramifications. The relevance of relaxation to magic has already been discussed in relation to confidence. It is also highly relevant to the practice of sorcery. Body awareness relaxation training demonstrates how much of our bodily experience we block out of consciousness. As a simple exercise in widening body awareness, attempt to focus your attention onto distinct areas of your body. It is very easy to start this when you are completely relaxed, focusing awareness into your fingertips or your toes. You can also try this exercise anywhere. If, for example, you are standing up and are very aware of your aching feet, try and move your awareness to your armpit or the backs of your knees. You can develop this exercise further by attempting to cast your awareness behind your back or across as much of your body surface as possible. Postural shifts. Imagine the way your posture makes you feel. Do you habitually slouch, stoop, or swagger? Try different ways of walking. Cocky, casual, manic, sexy. Apply the knowledge you gain to your magical practice. Also be aware of any habitual seating patterns you might have. Be aware of your own body language with regards to other people. See if you can discover your own postural habits and then try some others out. Does this lead to any changes in your behavior? Try adopting the body language which you feel is appropriate to qualities which you wish to develop. It is also useful to be attentive of how other people respond to postural changes. As a development of this exercise, try keeping your posture upright and relaxed. Not easy. Try Tai Chi or the Alexander technique if you have problems. Then try leading with different parts of the body. Don't stick them out. Just imagine you are being gently pulled along by the part in question. Good ones to try are groin, belly, chest, nose, and forehead. Forget everything you've read about chakras and examine your own feelings. Do easy. As an extension of relaxation training, examine any action that you make, no matter how simple, and find the easiest way of doing it. Apply this method to everyday actions: dressing, undressing, picking up objects, performing routine tasks. I'm wearing a dress. Easiest thing to do. Apply this method to everyday actions, right? You will find yourself expending much less energy and being aware of what you are doing rather than rushing through a task while your thoughts are projecting into a future beyond the task. When you touch something, pay attention to the brush of your fingers upon it. Feel the object through your fingers and move it with just the right amount of energy. Look at objects with a cool appraisal and visualize what you want to do with it and find the easiest way to do it. Do easy exercises demonstrate how we classify tasks as boring or routine, acts to be stumbled through as we project ourselves into a more interesting future. Direct the attention into actions that we usually think are unworthy of consideration. Opening a door, picking up a glass, slicing bread. There is an easy way to do everything and anything. We are unusually unaware or of performing simple tasks until something happens which hampers us. How would losing an arm affect your everyday life? Moving in time. Although we experience time as a separate dimension, it is in actuality a byproduct of consciousness. Interesting concept, isn't it? We are constantly moving backwards and forwards in terms of experienced past, memory, and anticipated futures, fantasy. Although much of magical practice is concerned with the ability to remain in the immediate present, it is also useful to be able to make use of our personal past and futures. Remembering significant instances, nostalgia, or reliving events from our past triggers emotions and physiological changes. To do this requires the ability to assemble a gestalt of sensory memories. For example, bring back the memory of a former lover. Replay a moment of eye contact and feel the shadow shock of your excitatory response. Recall the sensation of a caress, the ghost of a voice, the thumping of your heart. Allow your feelings to intensify and be aware of bodily sensations. This evocation of emotion through memory has numerous applications. For example, if you have unfinished business with someone out of your past, You can evoke them and enter a dialogue. Another use of this technique is to bring forth an intense emotion and then allow the trigger source to fade, while intensifying the emotion so that it is freed of identifications. This free emotion can be used for further acts of magic. We move forward in time using fantasy, anticipating and rehearsing situations according to emotion and expectation. If you are depressed, then you will tend to slide into a future wherein all your fears and worst case scenarios have prominence. It's extremely useful. Time is indeed subjective, especially when it comes to memory. Two people can experience the same event and they remember it differently. Let's see. We move forward in time. Oh, prominence. Okay. Fantasy becomes a form of selective feedback, reinforcing and reflecting thoughts until we convince ourselves of the momentary rightness of an intention. Similarly, we create fantasies which effectively create a vision of a future space that we are moving towards, but that is always somehow out of reach. In occult systems of belief, this tendency manifests in terms of the New Age, Age of Aquarius, Aeon of Horus, Chaos, Bugs Bunny, or whoever or whatever you like. When there is an idealized future projection that we are working towards, it will remain forever just out of reach. The great work of magic is the collapsing of the future into the immediate present. The magician seizes reality and lives now, free from the bonds of his past, knowing that the future is a manifestation of his will. Exploring and understanding one's relationship with time is a basic requisite of magical practice. At a basic level, this involves the observance of shifts in awareness and perception according to seasonal and diurnal cycles. We tend to think of ourselves as unchanging, despite the time of day and the season of the year, but these can have very subtle effects on us. Observe, understand, and make the best possible use of your fluctuations in perception. There is no single objective time which is out there distinct from us. And underlying our natural experience, there are hidden depths of complexity and ambiguity. Lateral diaries. As an extension of the magical diary, that book of mirrors that I was mentioning before, experiment with a record divided into 4 columns. In the first column, record the physical elements of a journey or situation. In the second column, record any memories which arose during this time. In the third column, record any fragments of reading, phrases from a book, newspaper, or advertisement. In the fourth column, record any snatches of conversation you may have overheard. This practice will demonstrate the nonlinear connections between events that we often censor from awareness. Shades of perception. Once you begin to go look behind the scenes of normal experience, there is no stopping. Just as we tend to experience time as an objective dimension, we tend to think of perception as something passive, a bridge between the internal eye and the world beyond. Yet perception is dynamic, fluctuates and changes according to mood, environment, and cognition. There are 2 basic approaches to exploring perception, which may be characterized as narrowing and widening. sensory enhancement. The first approach involves the exploration of each sensory modality in turn. Object concentration is the ability to fixedly hold one's gaze on a particular object for prolonged periods of time. Some degree of proficiency at visualization is a basic requirement for magical practice. Begin with simple shapes and work up to detailed scenes. Kind of skipped the shape. Well, I think I remember shapes and stuff when I was a kid, but some degree, begin with simple shapes and work up to detailed scenes. Explore your relationship with colors. For example, I know that I live in a radically different universe to many of my peers as I see colors differently. The sense of smell also plays a key role in magic. Smell is a direct hotline to memory and association. Notice how smells evoke memories and build your own correspondences between perfumes, emotions, and symbol systems for use in orchestrating experiences. Extend your ability to hear sounds by focusing on different elements of sound. Spend a week listening to the pitch of people's voices. Is there a difference between what people say and how they say it? Explore the senses of touch by being aware of all objects and fabrics. Explore surfaces with your eyes closed. Instead of reading or talking at the same time that you are eating, let the taste of food dominate your awareness. Eat a slice of a lemon and then a couple of days later evoke the memory of the act. There are numerous magical programs of exercises designed to explore the senses in turn, but it is just as easy and more fun to make your own up. Perceptual Gestalt. Although we tend to isolate each sensory modality, our actual experience is that of a gestalt, or a whole. I think that's oversimplifying the gestalt. I am writing this sentence, eating a biscuit, aware of the chair against my body, listening to cars pass outside the window, and aware of the room temperature. Although the imaginative faculty tends to be discussed as primarily visual, we can also, of course, evoke tastes, proprioceptive. Oh, come on. Proprioceptive, which is pressure and temperature. Kinesthetic actions, orientation of the body in space. Smells, sounds, and tastes. If, for example, you wish to imagine yourself paddling in water, you could assemble a perceptual gestalt which combined visualization of yourself in the scene, the feeling of your feet being in the water, the motion of the water against your legs, an appropriate smell, feeling of the sun against your back, and a soundtrack. Assembling and therefore creating such scenes constitutes the basis of what is known as pathworking. In this form, the magician constructs a narrative with a mythic or instructive subtext in which he steps, identifying with the experience to such an extent that it becomes personally meaningful. The assemblage of imagery can be undertaken consciously or can occur spontaneously, as the mind has an amazing capacity for constructing complex scenes using very little information. There are generally three types of pathworking. Structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. I use a combination of structured and unstructured. So, an example of structured pathworking is given in Chapter 7. These pathworkings are complete narratives. providing perceptual, emotional, and behavioral cues, which the user simply follows passively. These path workings are especially useful as training exercises, particularly when you are beginning to work with a belief system with which you are unfamiliar. These path workings are useful if read onto audio tape or, as is more usual, read by another person. Like my grounding ritual that I do at the beginning of each stream, that would count as structured path working. Semi-structured path workings have less detail. They tend to begin with an entrance sequence, which sets up the place or zone which is to be explored, and the point of you being there is after which you are left to your own devices, that is something that I'm working with now with the gateway process. That's an interesting place to be. For example, the narrator leads you to a strange castle, giving you enough perceptual clues to build the imagery, and then tells you that you must look for someone who will give you a key to your own magical power, after which you are on your own. This approach gives you more freedom of movement and creativity within the exercise. Unstructured or spontaneous path workings may consist of a single 3-dimension image, such as a tarot card, or even a rune or a I Ching hexagram. The idea here is to use the symbol or image as a doorway or gate, and to project yourself through it into a mythical landscape which lies beyond. What can path workings be used for? Apart from training and belief system familiarization, one of the basic uses is to place you into a situation which triggers emotional and cognitive reactions to the level when you identify completely with what is happening. A path working in which you die, are buried, and go through the various stages of decomposition will, if nothing else, remind you of the inevitability of death, and perhaps help you work on your fear of death. Path workings can also be designed which have free areas for scrying, talking to entities, or performing enchantments. Kinesthetic memory. Awareness of our orientation in space and how muscular movements combined in movement can be used to heighten awareness of what is generally called the body of light, astral body, or the double. Raise your left arm slowly, being aware of changes in muscles, the slight air resistance, the movement of the joints and bones. Do this a few times, then vividly evoke those sensations while imagining that you are raising your left arm. Try this until you can experience raising your kinesthetic arm almost as vividly as raising your real left arm. If you continue to try this practice with a range of body movements and orientations, you will find eventually that you can move freely around in this body. The double has a great deal of magical applications. It can be used to rehearse potentially difficult situations or tasks, as an extension of relaxation and do easy. It can also be used in shapeshifting and invocation, see Chapter 8, and also in exploration of dream and liminal spaces, like astral projection and lucid dreaming. I keep reaching for coffee and there is none. Okay, so what I call a domain, Phil Hine calls the Astral Temple. Building an astral temple combines elements of perceptual gestalts and the use of kinesthetic memory. The astral temple is where you go, using your imagination to perform acts of magic. Traditional descriptions of astral temples make much use of quasi-Masonic and Hermetic symbolism, but there is no reason why you cannot develop your own temple using symbolism and background ideas which you feel to be more appropriate, such as the cyberspace zone, space station, or skyscraper. The astral temple can be used for all works of magic that you would normally do on the physical, and as a starting point for exploration of inner worlds and landscapes. This is a realm where the only limit is the span of your imagination. With practice, you can build it into an emotional associations as well, so that when you enter it, you become relaxed, calm, and feel yourself at your most powerful. All right, we're coming towards the end, but I made a note of this next section. The Star Chamber. The Star Chamber is a sphere of transparent crystal suspended in deep space. Its dimensions are capable of being enlarged to suit different requirements. To enter the Star Chamber, visualize the 8-rayed chaos star whirling in front of you so that it becomes a whirling vortex which draws you into the chamber. In the center of the chamber is a crystalline pillar set at waist height. If you place your hands on the pillar, the chamber shimmers with a brief flash of purple light, and you have full control of its functions. The Star Chamber is both an astral temple and a vehicle for traveling through the multiverse. You can move to any point in time-space by placing your hands on the control pillar and asserting your will. You can extrude various devices from the walls of the chamber to perform different tasks. Globes for scrying and generating servitors, bizarre energy projectors for the projection of desires, or baffles and collectors for collecting the radiation of black holes. How long is this next session? Just long enough. All right. Tomorrow, we will talk about trance. But all that said, what do you guys think? I like that there's a word for what I do. Oh. I think coffee might be needed. Welcome back, Allie. Oh, now that I'm wrapping up. I'm afraid of a lot of that went over my head. I work using the term loosely, far more instinctively and less analytically, at least in far, yes. So I need to go AFK for a second. That dress is really cute. Oh, thank you. Big bag of yogurt. So yes, chaos magic does encourage us to be analytical about our practice, to be very scientific about it, to be aware, to be objective about the subjective. Jesus Christ. I need to shave my head. My husband has promised over the last 3 days, and I nabbit. I need my head shaved. So, the concept that there was a lot of concepts that we messed around with there, but the idea of liminal spaces is something that I encourage. That domain that I keep talking about, that I offer with my newsletter. It's kind of ironic that I say that, though, since focus and intent are part and parcel of the tenets of my practice, but chaos magic seems to take it to a level that I'm not equipped for. I think I understand that. Do it at your own pace. But I have pretty hair. Thank you. No, I need my sides done. Sorted and frozen for later. This is these horns. So, today at noon on BC Brown's channel, that's an hour from now, there will be karaoke with Dal Cecil Runo and I, which will be wonderful. Probably spend the next hour or so preparing. The only thing chaotic about my practice is how poorly I spell. I did see what you did there. Hey, stop doing that. Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining me today. I do apologize that it was over analytical situation regarding the liminal spaces and just kind of stating things that are easier said than done, but it takes practice. It does. The repetition, the boring repetition, as it were. It's not already 11. It is totally already 11. I got the Sako half amused, half I'm done with your shit. I'll have to be there in spirit. Amber stream time. She needs support right now. Oh. I'll be sure to send people to Amber's stream. Also, I signed up for your stream with the worldwide whatchamacallit. Or did you say that you had double booked yourself? What's going on there? If you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. If you would like to see what we do regarding trance work tomorrow, which is hard to be analytical about, but we managed to do it, then hit subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.